Welcome to English Story Vault. Welcome to English Story Vault, where you're ready to level up your English. Here, we learn through stories, slow, clear, and fun. Just listen, relax, and enjoy the journey. 1. A critical moment. There's a difficult situation unfolding between two countries, Israel and Iran. The problems between them are growing bigger, causing a lot of tension. Tension means a feeling of not being safe or relaxed. The situation is becoming more serious. This is a critical moment for the world. What happens next could be very important for many countries, not just Israel and Iran. In times like this, people watch the big countries to see what they'll do. China is a very large and powerful nation. China has a relationship with Iran. Because of this, some people thought China would offer a lot of help to Iran during this difficult time. They expected China to take strong action. But something different is happening. China isn't acting as some expected. It's being very careful. China is speaking words saying the situation is bad and that Iran is important. However, China isn't sending weapons or military aid to Iran. It's not taking big actions on the ground. China is staying cautious. Cautious means careful and not wanting to take risks. This careful approach from China is surprising to some. Why isn't China helping Iran more? Why is it only using words and not actions? If the situation is so serious, why is a big country like China being so careful? This book will try to answer these questions. We'll look at why China is acting this way and explore the reasons behind its cautious approach. What things are most important for China? Is significantly helping Iran the most important thing for China right now? We'll try to understand China's choices in this very difficult and dangerous time for the world. 2. The rising storm. The situation became more dangerous. Israel began attacking places inside Iran with missiles, hitting important sites. They targeted military bases and locations connected to Iran's nuclear program. The attacks were strong and caused significant damage. Many people were killed in Iran, including high-ranking military officers and scientists involved in nuclear work. It was a very difficult and painful period for Iran. The attacks created a feeling of crisis across the country. Inside Iran, the country's top leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, felt increasingly isolated. The pressure from the attacks and the difficult situation seemed to weaken his position. The country itself felt a very big threat from outside powers. Many said this was the most serious danger Iran had faced from other countries since the 1979 revolution, which had changed Iran's government years before. So, this new threat was seen as extremely important and dangerous for the country's future. The conflict wasn't stopping. It was growing bigger and more intense. Other major countries were watching very closely, especially the United States of America. At that time, President Donald Trump was carefully considering what the U.S. should do next. There was serious talk that the United States might use its military power directly in the conflict. People discussed different possible military actions. Some reports even mentioned the possibility of using special, powerful bombs called bunker busters. These bombs are designed to destroy very strong protected targets built deep underground, like some nuclear facilities. President Trump also made very strong public statements demanding that Iran surrender completely and unconditionally. This showed that the U.S. was seriously considering major military action against Iran. So the tension was rising very fast. It felt like a storm was gathering strength, ready to break. Attacks were happening regularly. Iran's leader faced significant challenges and felt isolated. The country was under a major external threat. And now, the clear possibility of direct military action from the United States made the situation much more serious and unpredictable for everyone in the Middle East and around the world. The world waited anxiously to see what would happen next in this dangerous time. China's cautious approach as the fighting intensified. Many people looked to China. Would China help Iran? China and Iran share a special friendship, but China remained very careful. China chose to speak words but not take strong actions. China's leaders did talk, saying Israel's attacks were not good. China's foreign minister called these attacks unacceptable. China's president also spoke, stating that countries should talk to each other to stop the fighting and that Iran should be safe and free. Meaning China supported Iran's right to control its own country. China even used a large group called the Shanghai Cooperation Organization to issue a statement condemning the attacks, showing its willingness to use its voice on the world stage. However, despite these strong words, something important was missing. China didn't send any help that could change the fight. They didn't send weapons, military information, soldiers, or any other kind of military support. China offered only words, not tangible things, that could help Iran fight better. Some believe China had a red line, strongly if crossed. But China's red line was only on paper, just words in a statement, not a real promise to use military power or send help if things worsened for Iran. Experts who observe China say it likes to talk about its ideas and take a position with words, but it doesn't like to get involved in fighting or send real help. This holds true in other regions too. China prefers to state what it thinks is right, but avoids using its military or providing material support that could put it in danger. So, while China spoke strongly against the attacks and expressed support for Iran, it did nothing physical to help. China stayed careful. Support for Iran was mostly just words, with no action behind them. China showed it would talk, but not send military support right now. This was a clear sign of how China acts in difficult times. Why China stays careful, many wondered why China didn't quickly help Iran more, especially given China's size and strong economy. But in this difficult time, China was very careful, and there are clear reasons for this. China thinks about its own needs first. This is a main driver of its global actions. One big reason is money and business. China needs energy, like oil, from the Middle East, and it has many trade deals there. China wants these things to remain safe and continue. If China joins a fight, it could hurt its business and energy supply. So, keeping things calm is important for China's economy. Another reason is being careful. It's also known as strategic restraint. China doesn't want to take big risks, tries to avoid getting into faraway wars, especially dangerous ones. Sending soldiers or weapons to help Iran could lead to many problems, angering other countries and costing a lot of money and lives. China's approach in the Middle East is often like a business deal. It's transactional. This means China makes choices based on what it can gain or lose. It's less about old friends or strong promises to help, no matter what. China looks at each situation and decides what's best for China at that moment. Energy safely and having good economic ties are more important than traditional alliances. China prefers to talk and make statements rather than send military help. They want to show they care, but they don't want to get deeply involved in the fighting. China doesn't want to be pulled into a war that isn't its own. Its careful approach is why China has stayed back. China has an important idea in its foreign policy called non-interference. It means China doesn't want to get involved in other countries' wars or problems. This rule is a big part of how China acts globally today. This principle helps China in several ways. First, it helps China seem neutral, allowing it to work with many different countries. Second, it helps China avoid doing too much, saving its resources and allowing it to focus on its own country. Rather than getting into difficult situations far from home, in the conflict between Israel and Iran, the risks are very high. Israel is attacking Iran, and the United States might become directly involved. President Donald Trump at that time even considered using special very big and strong bombs called bunker buster bombs, which can hit buildings deep underground, like some nuclear sites. China sees this situation as very dangerous. Fighting against an enemy supported by the United States is a big problem. China doesn't want to be pulled into such a war. Getting involved would be like walking into a trap. China doesn't want to be trapped by Iran's conflict with Israel, especially with the US government supporting Israel. So, China's idea of non-interference is crucial here. It's a key reason why China's careful. China wants to stay out of this dangerous fight, which helps it avoid big risks and difficult problems in the Middle East. 6. Old friends, new realities in recent years. China and Iran became closer friends for different reasons. Iran joined some important international groups that China is also part of, like BRICS and the SCO, Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Becoming members of these groups showed a stronger connection between the two countries. In 2021, China and Iran signed a big agreement, 25-year plan valued at an estimated $400 billion in investments. This seemed like a very strong step for their relationship, suggesting China would invest heavily in Iran, perhaps in oil and other areas. However, this big plan didn't materialize quickly. Progress was very slow due to problems like sanctions placed on Iran by other countries. Sanctions are like punishments that make it hard to do business. These sanctions made it difficult for Chinese companies to work in Iran. Because of the sanctions and risks, many Chinese companies weren't very excited about investing there, and the large amount of money didn't arrive. This situation showed something important about China and Iran. China sees Iran as a strategic partner, but perhaps not the most important one. Iran helps China with bigger global goals. For example, it can help China challenge the power of the United States, secure the oil it needs, and become more important in the world. But Iran isn't the main focus of China's plan for the Middle East. China has other friends in the area too. The relationship with Iran is useful for China's larger ideas, but it's not the only thing. So, while ties became closer on paper and in international groups, the practical side of the relationship, like the big investment deal, faced difficulties. This shows that the reality of their friendship is complex. China's actions are careful and based on its own interests. Even with a country it calls a strategic partner, China's balancing act. China has many friends in the Middle East. It doesn't only talk to Iran. China also has good relationships with other countries there, such as Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates (UAE). These countries are sometimes rivals with Iran. China works to be friendly with many different countries in the region as part of its plan in 2023. China even helped Saudi Arabia and Iran talk to each other. These two countries had problems for a long time, and China helped them make an agreement to be friends again. This was an important moment, as China showed it could play a role in the Middle East. But after this agreement, when new problems started, China didn't get too involved. It went back to its usual cautious way. China wants to stay on good terms with everyone. Why does China do this? There are two main reasons. First, China wants to get the best economic deals. It buys oil and sells goods to many countries in the Middle East. Being friends with everyone helps its business. Second, China wants to become more important in the world. Having influence with many countries helps China's power. China's strategy is like walking on a thin line. It tries to keep everyone happy and doesn't want to choose only one side. This is different from some other big countries. China wants to get economic benefits from all sides and increase its influence without making enemies. It believes that being friendly with everyone helps it more than picking sides in conflicts. This is why China talks to Iran, but also to Iran's neighbors and rivals. It's a balancing act to get the most gains. A new world order. China didn't send soldiers or weapons to help Iran. It only gave words of support and asked for peace. This shows that China is very careful in difficult situations. China thinks about its own needs first. It wants to be safe and make money for its people. It doesn't want to fight in a war far away from its home country. China's choice shows that its power comes more from its economy and trade around the world, not from fighting wars for others. This situation in the Middle East is important for the whole world. It's like a picture of a changing world order. It's a big game between the United States and China. The United States is helping Israel in different ways. China is asking for peace and talking with different countries. The two big countries seem to be on different sides in this difficult situation. This conflict takes time and money for the United States. It's making the U.S. busy in the Middle East. The U.S. has been involved in the Middle East for many years. It's dealing with old problems, and this conflict adds to its challenges there. Being busy elsewhere can be good for China. It means the United States is less focused on China. China wants to become stronger and more important globally, and the U.S. being busy helps China. China sees this as a chance to grow its influence. In the world without fighting, China wants to be a leader in the world. Its careful actions help it look like a responsible country that wants peace for everyone. This is different from countries that get involved in faraway wars. China's goal is to become a very powerful country, and it believes staying out of wars like this helps. It reached that goal faster by saving its money and strength for other things. China's actions show how it operates in the world today. China is very practical and not emotional in its foreign policy. It does things that are best for China. It avoids risks that are too big and puts its economic plans and its own safety first. It doesn't get pulled into other countries' wars easily, even for partners it has agreements with. This is a key lesson about China's foreign policy today. It's not about being close friends or helping partners with soldiers in a big, costly way. It's about what helps China grow and stay safe in a changing world. This careful approach is part of China's plan for the future. It shows a new way the world might work, with big countries being careful and thinking about themselves first. This approach is very different from how past world powers acted, showing China wants to change the rules of the global game. This is the main message from how China acted in this difficult time in the Middle East.